Good morning and Sai Ram to all my lovely students who, being at home, giving proper timing to their studies. Applause for all such students who are giving their time to their studies regularly. Children, in the previous video, we have completed the first chapter of grammar, that is the verb. Now, today we are going to start the new chapter of grammar, that is phrases, clauses, and kind of sentences. So, before we start with the explanation of phrases and clauses, I want you all to know the value of phrase, clause, and sentence in English language or in any other language. So, let us see first that part only. So, phrase, clause, and sentences are the most important structural unit of language. That means that they are the structure of any language. Without them, we can't build any language. And we are not just talking about English language, it is about all other language also. Though their names might be different, but their work is same, that they provide structure to all the languages. Without them, we cannot build a language. And they provide a structure and meaning almost to all the language. Not only the structure, they also provide meaning to the language. In English language in English language sentences can divide it into various parts, and each part have its function and its characteristic. In the same way, clauses and phrases are also the part of a sentence. Without them, a sentence is incomplete, but they have certain features which are similar, which make it difficult to learn, but still they provide a sense to a sentence. So this was the information about phrase, clause, and sentence. that sentence that sentence is incomplete without its various part, and in that various part we can include phrases and clauses. So let us know what phrase actually means. Phrases. A phrase is a group or combination of two or more words. That means a phrase is made up of group of words or combination of two words or more than two words. It is a unit of a complete sentence. That means that phrase is a part of a sentence. If by itself a phrase is not a complete sentence, here we come to know that if we separate phrases from a complete sentence, it will not make any sense, it will not convey any message. It is incomplete without any complete sentence, as it does not relay a complete thought. If we separate the phrase from a sentence, then it will not give you a complete thought. You will not understand what the person is trying to say with a phrase. But if we will add this to a complete sentence, it will give you a unique meaning. And the very important thing is that in a phrase there is no subject and no verb. You all know that a sentence is made up of three things. The first thing is the subject, about whom we are talking. Second thing is the verb, that what the subject is doing. And the third thing is the predicate, that what work he is doing and it is affecting which thing. So sentence is made up of three things: subject, verb and object. If a phrase is not having subject and verb, then it is incomplete sentence and it will not convey any thought. Now let us see some example. Example here is, we can see an example, a pink flower. A pink flower. A pink flower is a phrase because it does not have a subject and a verb. To be a complete sentence, one must have a subject plus verb plus predicate. But here we can say that pink flower only have a predicate. It does not have the subject, not the verb. That means a phrase does not have subject and verb combination. So let take an example. If we add subject and verb to the pink flower, will it make a sense? Let's see that. If I write um, Pinky loves pink flower. Here we can say that about whom we are talking. We are talking about Pinky. That means it is a subject. And what's the verb here? Love is the verb here. And what is the object? That is pink flower. So if we have added the phrase to a complete sentence which is having a subject and verb plus the predicate, then it will convey a proper message. Let's see the another example. The another example is a beautiful home. Do you understand something by beautiful home? If someone will say a beautiful home, you will not get it because it is incomplete. It is not conveying any message to you. But if I'll write it like this, Ram built a beautiful home. A beautiful home. Now here we can say this was the phrase. This was the phrase. We have added the subject and the verb and it now make a complete sense as a sentence. So we can now conclude that there is no subject and verb combination in a sentence. This is proved. This is proof that it does not have any subject and verb combination. It is just a group of words which does not have any complete thought. Because if I'll say in front of, you will ask, ma'am, what are you saying? In front of what? Because I'm not saying a complete sentence, it's just a phrase, in front of. But if I'll say I am standing in front of your house, then you will understand the full meaning what I want to say. So here we get to know that phrase is actually a group of words. Now phrase is actually a group of words. It does not have a subject and a verb. It has no meaning in itself if used alone, but if used in a sentence has a unique meaning. So here certain points are proved that phrase is a group of words. First thing. Second thing, that no subject verb combination is there. There is no subject and the verb to make it a full sentence to convey the thought in the phrase. And the third thing is that it has no meaning if we will use it without a sentence, proper sentence. And the fourth is, but if we will add it to a sentence, it has a unique meaning. So now we have seen what is phrases through the example. So now I hope that you understand what is phrase. Now there are kinds of phrases. Phrases are divided into different kinds. There are three kinds of phrases. First is noun phrase, second is adjective phrase, and third is adverb phrase. Students, you must have read about noun, adjective and adverb. There is no difference in these phrases. It's just that we have to see it once. It is not a difficult thing. We have completed phrases. You got to know what phrase actually means. In the same way, noun phrase, adjective phrase and adverb phrase are similar, but they just differ a bit. Like, let's first understand what is a noun phrase. You all know what is a noun. If a sentence is having a noun, then it will also have a modifying noun. Modifying means a word which is describing about the noun. That is known as modifier word for the noun. Now, if we are taking an example, if I tell you that students, um, let's take an example that a beautiful home. If I say Ram has built a home, it's a sentence that Ram has built a home. There is nothing I have described about the home. Here noun is home. I have described nothing about the home. But if I'll say Ram has built beautiful home, here I have described the noun that it is a beautiful home. Pinky loves pink flower. If I'll say Pinky loves flower, that is, I'm not describing the noun flower here. But if I'll add Pinky love pink flower, I have specially added pink to tell you that she only loves pink flower. That is the describing word which describe the noun. So what is a noun phrase? A noun phrase will always have a noun which can be a name, place or a thing, and a noun plus its modifier. Modifier, the word which is describing the noun, it will have that word which will make a noun phrase. Like if I have told you in the same way, Ram has built a beautiful home. Here the phrase beautiful home is the noun phrase because home is the noun and beautiful is the describing word which is describing about the noun. So that's why it is make the noun phrase. Pink flower. Flower is pink in color. The pink is describing the flower and in the same way it become the noun phrase. Let's see an example from this slide. He was wearing a black linen shirt. Now, if I'll say he was wearing a shirt, I didn't describe the noun. But if I'm adding the word black linen, that means I'm describing the color also and the fabric also. So here the phrase become a black linen shirt, which is a noun phrase. The second example is they lived in a small tidy cottage. If I'll just say they lived in a cottage, I'm not describing the cottage. The cottage is big, small, or it's very tidy or untidy. But if I'm adding the word small and tidy, that means I'm describing about the cottage and that becomes the noun phrase. So here the small tiny cottage is the noun phrase. Now, what is adjective phrase? You all know what is adjective? Describing words. Adjective are describing words. One or more words work together to give more information about an adjective, and adjective phrase modifies noun. Here in the last example we have seen that pink flower, here pink is the adjective because it is describing the noun. That is why it is called adjective. Here we will see that adjective is modified with more words. More words are describing adjectives. Like the example is I am very happy with his work. Here, very happy is the adjective phrase. The cost of the car is way too high. Here, way too high is the adjective phrase. Very happy is the adjective phrase. He is tall. Is that we are describing about that person that he is tall. It's a simple adjective. But if I'll say he is very tall, very is the adjective phrase. Very tall is the adjective phrase. What is adverb phrase? Adverb, we all know that they are used to modify or describe the verb. They always tell the quality of the verb. In the same way, adverb phrase is the same, that adverb phrase will work here to just modify the verb. Like if we can see in the first example say that they ran really fast. We can say that they ran fast, but if we are adding really, it add the actual speed. It is describing how much fast did he ran really fast. So it always give adverb phrase or adverb has the quality that it always answers such questions like where, how. So these are the things which it really do. Like in the second example, we can notice that the person drank the milkshake, but if we will add that he drank the milkshake much quicker, it shows that he is answering a question that how much fast did he drank the milkshake. He said much quicker. So this is the adverb phrase here. So adverb phrase is always working as the describing word for the verbs, adjectives or the adverb. Even they try to describe the adverb also. So there is no need to get confused between an adjective phrase and an adverb phrase, because adjective is used to describe the noun. It is used to describe the noun. It is describing word. Adverb is describing the verb. So there is no need to get confused between the phrases. And this was all about your phrases. We have read what is phrases and how many kinds of phrases are there. Okay, so the next part is about clause. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words in a sentence which contain a subject and a verb. A clause might also contain an object along with the subject, which make it stand alone as a complete sentence. Hence, a clause can make complete sense even when present outside the sentence. So the first thing we get to know about the clause is that it is also a group of words in a sentence, first thing, but it contain subject plus verb. It has the subject verb combination in it. The third thing is that might it happen that sometime a subject can contain object also. And the last and very important thing is that it makes sense though we are separating it from the sentence. If it is separated from a sentence, then also it give a proper thought or complete thought in it. Like if I will say Sarah smiled. Sarah smiled. Sarah is the subject, smiled is the verb. So here it is having subject verb combination, and the subject verb combination is a complete sentence in itself. Let's take some more example. Okay, the let's take some more example. First I gave an example that Sarah smiled. Sarah smiled. A complete sentence because it is having a subject and a verb. That who about whom we are talking about Sarah, and what she is doing, she is smiling. That means it is a complete sentence. If I take an example from this side, here we can see that snow is snow is falling. It is a complete sentence that snow is falling since yesterday. It is a complete sentence. But if I'll remove since yesterday, then the sentence will be snow is falling. Still, it is complete in itself because we are talking about snow, that is the subject, and we are talking about what it is doing, it is falling. That means it is a verb. And again, it is having the subject plus verb combination which make it complete in itself. And sometime it might happen that it may also have a object. So do it complete its condition, that clause. What is clause? Clause should have group of words. Okay, then it should have subject verb combination, and the third thing is that it has a complete meaning by itself. Let's take an example of this. If I say I ate apple, this is a clause. How we can say that it is a clause? I in this sentence we are talking about whom? We are talking about I. That means it is a subject. What I am doing? I am eating. That means it is a verb. And what I am eating? I am eating a apple. That means it is a object. But if I'll add that in the kitchen, I ate apple. It is a sentence. Now, I ate apple is having the combination of subject plus verb plus object. So, if we are seeing the full sentence, in the kitchen I ate apple, in the kitchen is the phrase because it is not having the object, neither the subject verb combination. So that means in the kitchen is the phrase and I ate apple is the clause. So if we are going to separate this, if we are going to separate I ate apple from the in the kitchen, then still it will make a complete sense. So let's see, does it complete the conditions? I ate apple is a group of words, correct. Do it have a subject verb combination? Yes, it is having the subject verb combination. It has a complete meaning by itself. Yes, it is having a complete meaning by itself if we are going to separate it from the complete sentence. The complete sentence was, in the kitchen I ate apple. Now I have separated it from the in the kitchen and still it is making a proper meaning. Now I hope that you understand what is clause. Now there are kinds of clause. There are two kinds of clause. The first is main or principal or independent clause. Second one is subordinate or dependent clause. Now we will learn about them one by one. Let's see what is main clause. Main clause is also known as independent clause. As the name says that it is an independent clause, that means it is a clause that stand on its own and used as the main part of the sentence. That means if we are going to separate it from a complete sentence, still it will make a sense and it does not need any other group of words to complete it. And it is the main part that through it we can complete the sentence, but we doesn't need anything else to complete it. It contains all the necessary information to be a complete sentence. A main clause has a subject that tell you what the sentence is about. and a verb that tell you what the subject is doing. So for a complete sentence we need, as we have discussed, that we need subject and verb combination. That means we need subject plus verb, and clause have both the things. That is it have a subject and a verb. Subject that tells you what the sentence is about, and the verb which tells you what subject is doing, and that's it. It will make a complete sense in it. Now take an example. We From the name we can guess that main clause will always mean that it does not need any support of any other group of words. It is complete in itself. Either it will be used um, as the part of a sentence which will complete other words. To complete a phrase we need a clause. So let's see an example. The example is you may sit. You may sit. It is complete in itself. Why? Because it is having a subject you. It is having a subject you and a verb sit. That means it is complete, because it does not need any more group of words to complete in itself. But if I write you may sit on the chair. On the chair, again it is the phrase, and you may sit is complete in itself. And it is also used as the main part. On the chair. If I am writing the phrase on the chair, that doesn't mean anything. But I am using main clause you may sit to complete the phrase on the chair. Now it will make a full complete sentence. You may sit on the chair. Let's see that example also. Like I have told you that on the chair is a half part of a sentence. You may sit is the another part of the sentence. Now here we can see it very easily that this part is a clause, because it is having a subject that is you, and it is having a verb that is sit. That means it is a clause. And we can guess that on the chair is the phrase, because it is not having subject verb combination. It is not having that, and that's why it is a phrase. But now the next thing is that to make a complete sentence we are using the clause as the main part. We are using the clause as the main part. We will use this sentence to complete this phrase, because it is complete in itself. We doesn't need anything to complete you may sit. It is very clear that someone is asking you to sit. It is not necessary that where he is asking you to sit, but it is necessary to tell what is on the chair, what we are trying to say on the chair. So to complete a phrase we need a clause to complete that. We need you may sit to complete on the chair. That means it is a main clause, because it is used as the main part of the sentence. It will complete other part of the sentence, but it does not need any other thing to complete it. It is necessary, or it is having all the necessary information which it need to convey to us. So now I hope that you have got that. If let's take another example for more clear information. I think. The next example is I think. Now it is complete. Sorry. I think is complete. Why? Here again the subject is I, because it is talking about I, and What the subject is doing, it is thinking. That is the verb. And now it is complete. I think. But if I'll add something more to it, it will become a phrase or a second dependent clause. If I'll add, I think you are a criminal. You are a criminal. That means you are a criminal is the another part of the sentence. But I think is complete in itself. We doesn't need anything else to complete I think. Here the person is trying to tell us that I am thinking something. That is clear that he is thinking and he doesn't need to tell anything else. You are a criminal. We are blaming something and it is also complete in itself. So this is about main clause, that it does not need anything else to complete it, but it is there to complete a phrase. Main clause is always used as the main part of a sentence. It is used to complete other part of the sentence, and it is just there, and it is just enough for itself. It doesn't need any other part or any other group of words to complete it. So that is main clause. Now let us move on to the second part of clauses, that is subordinate clause or dependent clause. What is subordinate clause? Subordinate clause is also known as dependent clause. It is a clause that cannot stand on its own because it does not contain all the information necessary to complete the sentence, and it is not used as the main part of the sentence. A dependent clause uses the word like because, and, since, although, but, wherever, in order to, and though, and many more. What subordinate clause is? When we see that two sentences are connected through a connector or a conjunction, that is also known as subordinate clause. Like if I'll write, you may sit wherever you like. Here the example is wherever. Wherever you like is a example. Now it is incomplete. Wherever you like, though it is having a subject verb, but it is not conveying what it trying to say to us. Wherever you like means what? If I'll write main clause in front of the subordinate clause, we have main clause that you may sit. You may sit wherever you like. Now it is a complete sentence. So to join to complete a proper meaningful sentence, subordinate clause will always have a conjunction in it. Conjunction means connector, which connect two sentences. We all know that clause are complete in itself. It does not need any other group of words to complete it. Subordinate clauses are also the same thing, but it have words like although, and, since, but, which make it incomplete without the main clause. If we will not add main clause in front of the subordinate clause, then the meaning of the subordinate clause is incomplete. The subordinate clause always need the help of the main clause. Though the subordinate clause have the subject and the verb, like it is having you like. You is the subject, like is the verb. But wherever is the conjunction, and it is incomplete without the main clause. If I will say you may sit wherever you like, then it is the complete sentence. Let's take some more example of this. Now if I'll tell you, we are having the main clause Main clause was you may sit. You may sit. And the subordinate clause is wherever you like. So now main clause is you may sit and the subordinate clause is wherever you like. We can compare both the things. Main clause is having subject plus verb. In the same way, subordinate clause is also having a subject plus a verb. But the thing is that wherever, that is the conjunction, is making it a dependent clause because it need a main clause to complete it. But if I'll say you may sit wherever you like, then it is a complete sentence. That means main clause is there to always complete a subordinate clause. Now that must be clear to you all, that if I'll write I think, it is a main clause that we have discussed, that I think is a main clause because it does not need anything else to complete it. But if I'll add here that you are criminal, I think is the main clause. That you are criminal is the subordinate clause. Now, that is here the connector. That means it will connect the main clause to the subordinate clause. I think that you are criminal. Now I hope that you have understood what does subordinate clause, main clause work. Always remember that main clause is supporting the subordinate clause. Without the help of the main clause or the independent clause, subordinate clause is having no support. It will be incomplete without the help of the main clause. Clause can always be recognized by the connectors. It is having connectors or a conjunction with it, that is because, and, since, although. If all these are there in the sentence, that means after these words there may be the subordinate clause. Like snow was falling since yesterday. If I'll say since yesterday, you will not get the meaning. But if I'll say snow was falling since yesterday, now it is making a complete sense. Since yesterday is a subordinate clause because it is incomplete without the help of the main clause, that is snow was falling. Now let us see the comparison between these two things. Here we can see that I have a graph that is showing what is main clause. Main clause is always having subject plus verb and it will always give complete thought with it. But a subordinate clause is always having a conjunction and subject verb combination, but still it is incomplete. It will always be completed when we will join this two. Then only it will give a complete sense. So this was all your clauses and phrases. Now here is your home assignment, that in the first home assignment you have to underline the phrases, and in the second question you have to underline the clauses. I hope that you have understood the difference between phrase and clause, about the kind of phrases and the kind of clauses. And the rest of the portion of this chapter we will complete in the next video. Till the time, revise what I have taught you again and again. Keep practicing about the phrase and clause. Though it might be difficult for you to get it at once, but if you will try again and again, you will get it. And that you have understood what is phrases and clauses, and watch the video repeatedly to understand it properly. And most importantly, you all should give proper time to your studies and take proper care of your hygiene. With this, I finished this lesson. Thank you, students.